The newest trend in online gaming is upon us. It is microtransactions, but worse. This is Jonny Rants from Crash Love Gaming, and I'm here today to talk to you about loot crates. So loot crates or loot boxes. No, I'm not talking about the random service where you pay and they send you a box full of random assorted shit every month in the mail. What I'm actually talking about is in online games. If you're not aware how these work is you pay real money in order to get cosmetic or actual in-game items in games, but it's not a one-for-one trade. You basically get a box of randomized items. Some are common, some are rarer. And again, you're paying actual money for this, not in-game currency. A lot of games have been using this. Overwatch, WWE 2K18, which just came out, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is about to come out, has come under fire for it. Killing Floor 2, a game that I actually stream now, they do it. Destiny 2, Call of Duty, a big ton of modern AAA titles are starting to do loot boxes. And they're becoming very common. So what's the problem here? Well, there's a lot. First of all, pay to play or pay to win. Essentially, if items that you're buying are more than cosmetic, it basically creates a paradigm where the people who are willing to put more money into the game will essentially have better equipment than the people who are willing to not put extra money into the game. It takes them a lot of time, a lot of grinding using in-game currency. That's assuming the loot boxes can even be bought with in-game currency, which is another problem we'll get to later. The other thing is charging extra money for something that should already be included in a game. A lot of the content that or pretty much all the content that you get in loot boxes is stuff that should have already been in the game, or stuff that already is in the game that you need to unlock. You're just paying extra money to unlock it quicker or more efficiently. Or that's not even really the case. You're just paying more money for a chance to unlock it, which is butt fucking stupid. This brings me into my next point, which is gambling. Many critics have said that the system in which you get loot boxes is very similar into the system of which casinos or other people take advantage of people who have gambling addictions. So here's a quote directly from Wikipedia. It says, "Loot boxes are considered part of the compulsion loop of game design to keep players invested in a game. Such compulsion loops are known to contribute toward video game addiction and frequently compared to gambling addiction. This is in part due to the use of variable rate reinforcement schedule, similar to how slot machines dole out prizes. While many players may never invest real money in a loot box system, such addictive systems can bring large monetary investments from whales." Not talking about fat people. They're talking about players who are willing to spend the money to get new loot boxes. So essentially, a lot of players spend nothing on loot boxes, but some players spend a whole shit ton of money. And I know some unscrupulous YouTubers who may or may not encourage their followers to buy them loot boxes in certain games. Not looking at anybody particular, or am I? So, this is a problem. There's actually an online petition in the UK that calls for existing gambling laws to be extended to loot boxes, which would essentially, that would be a big mess, and it would prohibit children from playing, it would probably prohibit children from playing a lot of these games that involve loot boxes. Will they be regulated? Will loot boxes be regulated? Japan and China actually have legislation that force developers to reveal their chances of getting, basically, I think it's all items or certain items, or maybe your chances of getting different rarities of items in these loot boxes. And I think Japan, I read that, I put a link below in the description if I find the article, but Japan actually had a law that for a short time basically banned the use of certain loot boxes in games because of how similar it was to gambling. Now, this isn't a small thing, and this isn't this trend's been going on for a while. I mean, it's really blown up this year, but it's not really a small amount of money that companies are making from loot boxes. I believe Activision made over $3 billion last year from in-game transactions, many of which were loot boxes, and Activision makes Call of Duty, and that's probably their big cash cow in this. So $3 billion, much of which may have been in loot boxes, that's a lot of fucking money for something like this. I can see why companies are doing it, but is it right? Is it wrong? So I made a short list here of kind of things that you should look for in games that have loot boxes. And there's these 5 things, and if your game of choice has one or more of these, maybe you should reconsider supporting that game. So number 1, In-game items are exclusively obtained via loot crates. This is even more of a problem if the items actually affect gameplay, but if any of the items in the loot crates are specifically game-changing items are obtained exclusively via that loot crate or loot box, there might be a problem there. Number 2, items gained from loot boxes change your abilities, i.e. they're more than just cosmetic. So basically, it's giving people who buy more of the loot boxes an advantage because they unlock weapons, skills, armor, what have you, via these loot boxes. Number 3, the loot boxes must be bought with real money. So certain games have loot boxes that you cannot actually purchase with in-game currency, that you need to spend real money in order to get these loot boxes. So that's kind of a problem, because that is, I don't see how that is not literally gambling. And it's not even gambling for real money, so let's not kid ourselves. You can actually win money if you're playing blackjack and you're good. It's not likely, but you can. You're never going to win any money by buying fucking loot boxes. Number 4, they are a substitute for a lack of content. Once again, I'm looking at you, Overwatch. What do you offer besides skins? Nothing. A bunch of weeaboo sex fantasies about Tracer, that's about it. Number 5, loot boxes take an unreasonable amount of time or effort in grinding to obtain in the game. So basically what I'm saying here is, if the loot boxes, you can either pay them with pay money for them, or do an inordinate amount of grinding in the game to get the loot box or the items in the loot boxes, or you can just pay a couple bucks to get them. That is a problem. So again, quick summary. Number 1, in-game items are exclusively obtained via loot crates. Number 2, items gained from loot crates give you change in-game abilities. Number 3, you must buy these loot crates with real money. Number 4, they substitute for a lack of content. And number 5, loot boxes take an unreasonable amount of time or effort in grinding to obtain with in-game currency and not real currency. So if your game uses one of those styles of loot boxes or more of them, then you might want to think about not supporting that game, or reconsider your support. They're not telling you what you should do with your money, but yeah. So what's my opinion of loot boxes? It's not very positive. I think the best way to talk about loot boxes is by fucking ranting. So here we go. All right, loot boxes are a fucking ripoff. You're spending real money. They're essentially the new way. It's a fucking hidden guise. It's a way to make fucking microtransactions more palpable. And everybody fucking hates microtransactions. So why are all these stupid fucking loot boxes okay? Like if Overwatch had a system where you had to buy Tracer skins or buy all these stupid Halloween skin packs, everybody would fucking hate that. The store would be loaded with this shit and there would be an outrage. But for some reason, only some people are mad about this huge fucking loot box crap. Gamers shouldn't support this. If you're again, I don't want to tell you what to do with your money, but if you're a fucking gamer, you shouldn't support this, because it's like an extended level of bullshit of microtransactions. And if you look at it, the list of games that are starting to use loot boxes are truly fucking appalling, like all across the spectrum, like sports games, fucking shooting games, horror games, competitive multiplayer, like fucking, what the hell, RPG, like everybody's using loot boxes and no one fucking likes them. I've never met anybody who said, oh man, I wish this game had loot boxes. Have you? If you have, leave a comment, because I want to meet that person and fucking smack him in the head. And like, it supports gambling compulsions. Some people are addicted to this shit, and it's obviously not good for those fucking people. It's basically taking advantage of the lowest common denominator. So, loot boxes, do you really want them in your games? Do you? I don't. Jonny Rants, Crash Love Gaming. Don't support that shit. Support good gaming channels who put out good content. So maybe us, if you like our video, like it, subscribe below, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Thank you for watching. Stone Mountain 64, I still want to fucking play Battlefront with you, or have you collab with us. So shout out to Stone Mountain 64. Again, he's still my boy, even though I've never met him or talked to him. So Jonny Rants, Crash Love Gaming signing off. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to us, like, bam.